Hey everyone, how are you doing? So we're just waiting for our guest, Mike, to come on. I'm just sending him another little reminder. And hello. So what are we going to talk about while we're waiting? How about we talk about words? Words. Words that we use right now to speak with each other, and words that we use when we're talking to our friends and family, words that we use in our business world, and words that we use, which are the most important words, are the words that we are talking about ourselves, right? When we're speaking to ourselves, when we're talking, when that voice in our head is talking to us, those words are the most important words. And we need to really focus on what are we saying and what do those words mean to our spirit, to our energy, to our spirit, our energy, our body, our nervous system. What do those words mean? And, we all speak, some of us speak different languages, right? Some of us have different languages in our arsenal, and some of us speak English. Some of us speak Chinese and Greek and all these different languages. But really, those are our second languages, our third languages. Our first language, our mother tongue, so to speak, is vibration and frequency. It's the language that we spoke before we entered this experience. It's the language that we will speak after we leave this experience. It's the language that we speak all day long. It's the words, it's the thoughts. And I know it sounds weird. But here's the thing. Every word that we speak, every word has a vibration and a frequency. It means something. That's how we're communicating out into the ether. That's how we're putting our words out into the universe. Okay? It's with the words that we speak. And if those words have a certain frequency and vibration, looks like Mike just entered the studio. If those words have a certain frequency and vibration, what is the message that you're really sending? So I'm going to bring Mike in right now. Hi, Mike.
Hey, hello.
How are you? You made it.
Let me see what's going on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, well, that's a good thing.
Well, that's good. So we're all good. So we're sitting here today and we're talking about, while we're waiting for you, we're talking about the power of words.
Wow.
Are you working? You're still working to get set up there? Are you good?
Okay, you know what? I'm going to switch something here.
Okay, so we'll just keep on talking. You let me know when you're ready. So the power of words, So what are you saying? So for instance, if you say, I just can't do it, whatever it is, I just can't do it. Then what does that word, what are you saying really? Right? You are sending a vibration into your body and out into the universe that says that that you don't want that, right? That you don't want it. And you actually want more of not having it, right? So it's not only that you don't want it, but you actually want more of not having it, right? So we have to be clear in what we say. And you're on mute, Mike.
And
now you're here.
Finally, hallelujah.
So he's made it. Woohoo, ching ching. All right. Yeah. So
good.
Another one, I'll give you an example of what people say, and then you can chime in on this, Mike. People say like, I hate that. I hate that. Oh. Now the word hate has a really extreme effect on the body. You don't know it, but it is really affecting you. Like if you think of the word hate, like what does that even feel like in your body, right? So when you say hate, it's actually creating almost like a chemical reaction in your body. What if you said, I don't, I prefer this instead?
Mm. Yeah, the positive of it is very important, right?
right? So you're not saying, I hate it. You're saying, oh, no, I don't prefer that, or I prefer this instead. Very much lighter on the body.
Yes, 100% lighter on the body. Actually, my father used to say that a lot, and I got that from him. I remember even hearing the soundtrack of like, I hate this, I hate that. And it's like all you're focusing on is the negative. All you're focusing on is what you don't want. It's like, and you're bringing it in,
And
right?
you're bringing it in, and you're bringing
Yeah.
it in. The
There's,
other one that
there's,
people say all the time,
hmm.
I'm busy. I'm so busy,
Oh,
right?
yes. Hmm.
What if you just said, I'm in demand? Busy has such another negative feeling, an overwhelming feeling on the body,
Yeah.
and on your nervous system. But if you just said, I'm in demand, how much more positive is that?
Oh, I'm making great impact.
I'm making a great impact, right?
Yes,
I've got lots of opportunities coming my way. Like,
absolutely.
just
There's a saying, actually, if I can share that. There's a saying about the whole like I'm busy and everything, and I read this somewhere. It's probably one of those emails that everybody sends around, right? But there's this email talking about how this one man every day he gets up and he says, I'm so busy, I'm so stressed out, I hate this, this sucks. I gotta, and all these things, right? That we always tend to say, and then it switches into the soundtrack or the thought of the angels, and it goes, 40 plus years, and every day he still asks for the same thing.
right,
You're right.
right.
Yeah.
So what are those first thoughts that you think in the morning when you wake up? You open your eyes and you think, oh, what are those thoughts? Are they like, I can't wait to get into my day? Or what am I going to start on first today? Or, is it like, is it what you have to do and all the
Mm.
things that you have and the meetings and the stuff
Mhm.
you got to do with the kids and feeling
Yeah.
crappy about yourself about the past? And, how are you starting your day every day?
Yeah. Yeah. And if for me, like I even start my day off thinking about the breakthroughs I'm going to make today. Because sometimes it's about our personal program process or our personal progress. Sometimes it's about what we're going to create for other people, and then it's all about like, and yeah, sometimes, okay, let's be honest. I mean, we wake up, we might be a little groggy, so we might drag our butts up out of bed a little bit, right? But it's yeah, the body might be like, oh my God, this hurts. Or you could say, oh, this feels like such a great stretch, right? And typically that's what I would say. It's like I get up, I'm like, oh, this feels like such a great stretch.
Now
And
look at me unwinding.
right? Or you can make it into a game. You can look at yourself like one of those characters in, I don't know, in your favorite movie when you were a kid or something, and kind of like getting out of bed and getting yourself back into alignment and getting ready, stretching like a cat, whatever makes you have fun with it, even though you might be like, oh, wow, this hurts at first. Just do it, right? And it changes everything.
Even,
Yeah.
yeah, like when you're laying there in bed before you even get up, you open your eyes, and maybe you just want to just feel like the stretch going on and move your legs and ankles and just sort of get that blood flowing.
I like that.
Right?
I
And
like
just
that.
you could start your stretching in bed.
Yeah. Or
Move your legs up high into the sky, do whatever you want with them, like move around however it feels good, and just stretch, right?
Yeah.
And just feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And sometimes it's just like just take the covers off. Even if it's cold outside, take the covers off and let your skin wake up. And you're like, oh, right. And just for me, just to be open like that feels fantastic, right? Yeah, and just get going.
Or get a dog. That's what I wake up to every morning with my ear being licked. And it's
or a cat. I don't have a cat, but some partners have cats, and every time you wake up in the morning and they give you that face massage with their paws,
so
and they won't stop. Yeah.
And if I avoid him, I get the tap.
Really? With the nose or the paw?
No, wherever he can get me, like with his paw. Like he raises his paw, but he knows I'm sleeping, which is really funny because he does it really gently, like. And I can feel him. He's like nose to nose with me.
You could do that. You could definitely do that.
Get a
Yeah.
dog. That's a great way for me to wake up. I wake up every day laughing because he's funny, but it's just, and we start our day. Like, what note do you want to start your day on? What words do you want to say to yourself? So the very first thing that I always tell all of my clients in the very first session as a foundation, part of their homework is to be aware of their words.
Yes.
What are you saying?
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking? Pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
We are 97% of the time we are on autopilot. So it's time to get into manual drive. And not only manual drive, but you remember those old 57 Chevys or like those kinds of trucks with the like the stick shifts? You want to be driving one of those.
You don't want to feel like you're one of those, but I get what you're saying. It's like, get yourself in there and be in charge of what you're doing.
Right? Drive the car, right? Drive your vehicle. Drive this. Don't let it drive
your vehicle. That's it. Yeah.
We're all on cruise control. What is that about? Like, it's not,
that speaks to it, because everybody's looking for that to just feel good. And when you just look to feel good, then you want the next cruise control thing, which is just the pill. Give me the pill. Give me the fast fix. I just want the one thing. Give me the quick juice blend thing that I can get in there. Juices and blending is great, but it's not going to give you the full picture of what you need, right? Just like, not one thing is going to give you everything. Right? So, but you gotta be driving and piloting yourself, and way too many people are out there seeking for somebody to give them the next autopilot option to feel good again, like they used to feel good, right? But they
want to be in the Beamer or something, going on cruise control, like living their life all nice and smooth, where they don't even have to think. But it's got its own radar. It can park itself. Like that's not what you want. You want to be in the old school vehicle where you're like, you have to pay attention to what you're doing.
But the beauty of it is when you start to do that, when you get the momentum behind that, and you switch into that constant like awareness, it becomes the high-powered car you've always wanted.
Yes.
You then attain that high-octane vehicle because you can't attain the high-octane vehicle otherwise. You can only you might get like a comfortable, I don't know, minivan, but you won't. But you won't get the high-octane vehicle. Right? No. And even if you want to be a minivan, you'll have a high-octane minivan that can do a lot of things and even turn into something else for you, right? But it'd be like a transformer minivan. Look at it that way. If you like minivans, think of it like you get your transformer.
You can transform into it. Well, I think what's happened is we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned. We've been people always. I can't be hypnotized. I'm like, you are so hypnotized, you don't even know how hypnotized you are.
Yeah.
So, we are conditioned to think, number one, that we can't think for ourselves. But we're conditioned to think that we can't do certain things. We're conditioned to think that we can't be aware of our words, that we can't slow ourselves down, that we must have instant gratification. We must have instant gratification. And that if we don't have instant gratification, it's not working. Right? So...
Yes, because if it doesn't feel good right away, it must not be working.
Right?
This thing's a phony.
I love the example that Tony Robbins uses. Tying your shoes.
Okay.
Right? So the very first time you even, what is that? That unconsciously
competent or unconsciously
unconsciously incompetent. You don't even know yet that you have to tie your shoes. You don't even have the idea yet that you have to tie your shoes. But when everybody else is walking and you're tripping, you're like, hey, maybe I need to tie my shoes. So then we get to the unconscious competent. We realize that
conscious incompetent. Then
conscious incompetent. I know it gets so conscious incompetent.
Oh,
so
that's
the point where we know that we have to tie our shoes.
Yes.
But
we know that we don't know.
Right? So you didn't just start tying your shoes and, at the same time talking on your cell phone, yelling at your kids and drinking your coffee. Like that didn't all happen at once. You had your tongue hanging out. You were like
That's
the
right.
rings were too loose. Like couldn't get the bows right.
Yeah.
Like so it didn't. So that's how you have to think about it.
Yeah.
Until you can get to the consciously competent.
Unconsciously competent. Yeah. Then it's consciously competent. Then you know you're doing it. Then you become unconsciously competent when you're talking on the phone, yelling at your kids, drinking your coffee. That's
right. And tying your shoes all at the same time. Right.
Good. But you don't have to wait that long. In the end, you don't have to wait to have kids to be able to be unconsciously.
You should be able to tie your shoes pretty quick without thinking about it. And it's the same thing when we're learning how to walk. We don't just like one day go, I think I'll start walking. And you get up and you start walking.
According to my mom, I did.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Of course. My mom always knows, mom always loves. So that's
right. No, you fell down, you got up, you fell down. Well, the rest of us did. Got up and fell down and got up and fell down. And, you started learning how to run, you wiped out, you skinned your forehead, like you did all this stuff. And then all of a sudden you made progress.
Yes.
Because consistency created the momentum. Yes.
And it's also why you end up being hypnotized, because consistency created the momentum of your hypnosis.
That's right. Because repetition is the mother of learning, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to do it over and over again. Mm-hmm. You have to not give up on yourself and keep doing it, because if that's the way it's done, you've got to do it and you've got to give it a chance. These self-help books that people have, I have lots of books here, but these self-help books that people have, and who was it? It was one of our other teachers, Cammie, said she calls them shelf-help books because you get them and you read them, and even if you don't even read them, they're on the shelf. They look good. Yeah. But you read it and you think that you're done.
Yeah.
I'm good. Oh, I understand that concept. I get that. That makes sense. A light goes off and you think you're finished.
But you know nothing because you've only absorbed what you already are aware to absorb.
Yes.
Because you don't know what you don't know. So when you look in that book, you think, oh, the lesson is these things. And that's it. Because that's the only thing you are aware that you might be consciously incompetent in. So you are aware that you don't know it and you're paying attention for a bit. You might get a couple of great ahas, but you will not get the breakthroughs by reading the self-help books. They will support you after you go to somebody for help, and then you can expand on what they give you, and then you can come back to them and say, hey, I learned this. And they might say, great. Now here's something else to consider. You'd be like, I need to read the book again.
Right?
Because it's completely different now. Right?
How many times have you read a book? I think I've read Wayne Dyer's Power of Intention. I think the first time I ever got it, I read it 7 times in 3 months.
Yeah, makes sense.
I read it like an audio. I read it, in all kinds of different ways. I read it listening to in the car. I used to drive a lot, so I would listen to it. And I think what was every time I read it, first of all, I saw things that I didn't see before, or maybe I just didn't understand them until I went through it the first time. And then I read it again and I was like, oh, now this has a different meaning for me.
Yes. And so one of the books that was one of my favorites is a small book, but when people read it, at first it kind of looks like, this sort of weird kind of huge knowledge type of book. It's called The Kabbalion, right? And it's a small book, and it talks about the 7, I forgot what they're called, the 7 principles, right? And the first time I picked it up, I listened to it 3 times in a row, because it was like, oh my God, and every time, oh my God. And then a few years later, a client of mine, I kind of gave her a couple of things to look at within it just for fun, because she wanted to look at some really big sounding stuff, like that really almost, I don't know how you call it, like you're listening to a master monk speaking. That's how the book kind of sounds sometimes, right? And she brought up one of the concepts, and I read it again. I'm like, holy crap, I see it completely differently. And that was 3 years later, right? And because I had learned so much more in those 3 years, that my ability to see.
Plus, speaking to somebody about it allows you to see it through their eyes as well, and see their perception and reframe it. Because a lot of times we look at something through our own eyes, which is based on our own experience and the way that we've been victimized in the world. And we sit there and we go, this is what it is, but it's not that. It could be lots of different things.
Yes. Absolutely, right? And so that's why we need to talk to people about it. We need to understand, and we need to learn from people, bottom line. And we need to learn from people that have done this for years because they've had a chance to talk to people about it many times,
Right.
right? And the aptly named self-help books are great, but they're information that your brain doesn't even know how to access half the time. And it's a really big thing to realize beyond that,
And
because
it's too much. Like, I think it's too much too fast. Like, you read a book and
yeah,
it's like this, there's a concept. I have to do this. I have to do that. I've got to do this other thing. And then it becomes overwhelming and you're like, you can't do all of it at
no,
once.
exactly. And I mean, you know this too, like when I help people in their journey, like I'll introduce bits and pieces of concepts
Yeah.
in the beginning, but then I'm introducing and infusing more understanding of that slowly as they go along the journey. And by the end of the journey, they finally get the true aha moment of the one concept. That is a piece of the one concept.
Because they have to have time to integrate it into their
Yeah,
worlds. Like,
into
it's not
life.
easy to live on manual. It's not
Absolutely.
easy
It's
to
not
pay
easy.
attention to everything that you're doing, to think about every thought, to think about what you're going to say before you say it, and like not respond to people so quickly.
Yeah.
People ask
And
questions and we feel like we need to answer right away. Well, maybe we don't.
absolutely. No. And not just to think about it, but to feel what's happening inside of you while it's happening.
Right.
Right. And to feel, you're like, wait a second. It's not just because, especially a lot, like I used to be the engineer guy, right? So like it was all thinking. Like I can think about everything all the time, but not consciously though. I
Right.
just thought about what I knew. And then when it came to feeling, it was a completely different thing because my brain was like, yeah, that's not relevant. Move on. Right. And it actually separated me from the full experience and the full understanding of everything that needed to come through at me. Right? It took me a few years later to go back into old experiences and actually experience the emotion of them and the tangible experience of it. Like this is real stuff. It's not like it's all registered for you by your being, but you don't know you've experienced it. And then when you start experiencing those things later on, through all the other senses, you feel like your life experience is so much more complete, right? But even me saying this to a lot of people and us talking about what we're talking about to a lot of people right now, it might be like, I kind of get it, sort of. What do you mean by that, right? So
Exactly.
if you're listening to this and you're hearing that, this is like, the staircase to the light is a really incredible, awesome trip. You just need somebody that can bring up these things for you where you're questioning, like, huh?
Well,
And then show you what to do.
like if my refrigerator wasn't working,
Mm-hmm.
I would call a repairman.
Yeah.
Right? If there was a hole in my roof, I wouldn't go up there and try and fix it myself. I
Mm-mm.
would call a repairman. I
Yes.
might be able to read about it on Google, how you do it, right? I might be able to figure it out or read about it, but would I go up on the roof and be able to do it by myself the first time? Maybe if someone taught me, right?
Mm.
That person was taught by someone, and with practice, they became very good at it,
Yes.
right? So when it comes to our outer house, we'll do what needs doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when it comes to our inner home, why do we sit and think about it? Why do we say later? Because we can't see the hole in the roof? It's
Yeah.
there. There's still stuff going on. Your fridge is still broken.
That's right. You're getting dripped on your head. Do
That's
something.
right. So it's
Yeah.
like there's still stuff that needs to be done, but because we can't see it, we can put it off.
Yes. Until we can't stop putting it off, and then we look for the magic pill to make our lives better because everything is so far gone that inside everything feels like it's so far gone that we need a really quick fix to.
Which doesn't really fix because it only puts you on pause.
That's right.
Because you haven't really dealt with anything. There is no
No.
pill out there that's going to help you deal with your past.
No.
Right? There's no pill out there that's going to help you feel like you've been less abused in your life. There's no pill out there that's going to help you deal with fear.
Yes. Correct.
There isn't. There's something that will put you on pause.
There's the pills that make you not feel.
Yep.
but that
A lot of that.
dissociates you. That dissociates you ultimately. And look, you might need it in the immediate moment because crap, you got to keep your life together.
Right.
But at the same time, you got to do the work behind that so you can get off.
Do the work. You got to do the work. So if I had a hole in the roof of my house, do I take a pill and hope that the leak stops?
No.
No,
right.
It's not going to work. Or if I go up there and I put a garbage bag over the hole,
exactly. Yeah.
How long is that going to work for?
Right. And I was thinking like a tarp, nice blue tarp or something, like make the tarp bigger and bigger. Because as the hole decays more and more on the outside, that tarp's going to have to grow. And so just like the pills have to get stronger.
The stronger the milligrams you have to take. Absolutely. Like it's even when we deal with difficult people. You and I, Mike, we always end up going somewhere with these conversations. But like even when you're talking about people, like this person is so difficult in my life. They're a narcissist, or they're this, or they're that, and there's all these things that they are. And if I, what I try to tell people is, it's like, okay, if you saw somebody roll into your house in a wheelchair, and they had like Tourette's or something, and they're just spouting off all kinds of crap, you would have tolerance for that person. You would understand it. You might not be comfortable around it, but you would kind of like understand there's something wrong. Like you can see it. There's something wrong, right? Some people are in the wheelchair, but it's on the inside.
Yes.
There's something a little bit broken. Not that it can't be fixed if they want it to be, but there's something broken, and you can't see it. So you don't have that same understanding and compassion that something is not quite right.
Yes. And actually I there's a post I made on this too, and it literally saying, look, guys, stop calling out the people that are quote unquote narcissists. Stop saying, I hate this, that I've got this narcissistic person in my life, and it's this narcissist and the definition, and I'm glad that I know that this person is a narcissist. And, okay, great, but maybe at first you have to recognize that this person has a personality type that is not congruent with what you're looking for.
Right.
So at first you might need to realize, okay, this may not be a positive personality type. Great. But now, first of all, it's on you, because you're the one that constantly wakes up every morning saying, I don't like this narcissist, or I don't want this narcissist in my life.
But you say it,
and you're constantly saying it. And there's no negative in the spiritual world. There's no negative. And so your angels in your mind goes, okay, another narcissist, sure.
But you also stay. Like you don't change your situation.
You stay.
You complain about your situation.
Exactly, right? Because you keep on thinking about, now here, because I know you were going somewhere. I think I'm going to hit the spot where you're going with this, right? I'm pretty sure, actually, I know where you're going. I'm going to hit it just in a second. We keep on complaining about the narcissist, yes. And then we actually feel justified, and look how awesome I am, and how much of an empath, and how sensitive I am, and how bad this person is. And we start to look for that. It's basically you're stuck in ego. And you're justifying to the world of how much of a good person you are, and look how bad they are, and everybody agree with me.
Or they're thinking that they're not that worthy of anything else, and this is the best that they can get, so they stay.
Yes. And ultimately, even when they think that this is all they can get, they go off and they do complain to people, and they end up, if you're in that situation right now, or if you know somebody, ask them to watch this podcast right now, because you ultimately complain, and people's responses to you justify you, and then you start feeling better about that.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that you're going through that."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, she's a jerk, or he's a jerk, or like, what an ass, or whatever it is. And they're like your cheerleaders are just like listening to you.
Exactly.
And you're just like, it's good. Not helping.
No. And what you were talking about, Aisha, you don't actually realize that, or you don't allow yourself to see that this person is somebody who's been wounded and is carrying around their wounds without being aware. And they may never become aware. They may resist you all the way through. But this is a human being that is doing their best based on
what they know.
What they know, whatever coping mechanisms they've learned, whatever traumas they've experienced, and a combination of their personality, individuality, and all of that stuff they're actually doing their best to
They think they're
stay,
being blessed. They think that they
to
are
stay
being.
above water. Yeah, to stay above water in whatever way they consider above water to be.
And then if you stay in a situation that makes you feel so uncomfortable, then there's something also a little disconnected in you because you think it's okay to stay. So the question would be, why do you think it's okay to stay? What did you grow up seeing? Like, was this like a replay of what you've seen? And then that person, your mom stayed or someone stayed in a situation where it was bad and you thought that this is just what you have to do? Like, sometimes it's just we are what we're bred a little bit. And it's being able to step outside of that and say, I saw that, but that didn't mean that it made it okay. Like, I have to be different.
Yes, absolutely. But we go back again into the autopilot because, so, half of the work is helping people, helping us all, because heck, I was in autopilot for years, right? Until it all broke down. And the one thing that I don't want, and I know you don't want, is for somebody to get to the breakdown point before they realize that they need to do something different, that the tarp can't hold the water back anymore.
Yeah, it's got to be a tragedy before they'll help themselves. There has to be some kind of a tragedy before they'll help themselves. And you don't need to wait that long because then it's urgent.
Yeah. And then you're really like scrambling and you're likely to make decisions that are not, you know how it goes when you're desperate for something.
Desperation. You're in a place of desperation and you can't make good decisions from a place of desperation.
And that's what happens to a lot of people when they buy into the hype of certain programs out there. Like the whole hype thing makes it where they're kind of presenting it in such a dramatic way and they're looking for the quick fix. So this person says, I've got a program that's going to turn you around completely in X number of days. That should be your first red flag. Go, I need to go somewhere else. They might have a program, which is like, and it might be good, but they would never be saying, I'm going to help you turn around in so many days. I'm going to fix everything for you in so many days.
It's not possible.
No, they might tell you, look, this program is really good. I'm going to help you get your head above water. There's much more work after that, but you're going to have the tools you need to be able to stay centered to as much as you need right now, so you can actually make the right decisions in life and live properly, right? That could be something.
That could be something.
Right? But if they're telling you, I got a 10-step program that's going to take all that worry away from you.
No.
10 steps.
First of all, everybody's different. It's like a diet, right? Yeah. It's like first of all, that person who says that doesn't even know who they're dealing with. Like, because some people, it might work for some people who haven't been through a lot, whose life has been like, what does Harrison call it? One of our other teachers, he calls it a carousel. Some people live on a carousel and some people live on a roller coaster, right? And the people who live on the carousel don't usually experience really ups and downs. So they don't have as many resources as someone who's on the roller coaster, because being on the roller coaster, you pick up a lot of stuff along the way, right? To sort of get you through it. But because you're on the roller coaster, most of the time, you're not seeing all the resources that you're picking up.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? So if somebody said to me back in my day when I was like messed up, if someone had said to me in 10 days, your whole life will be different. Now if they said it to me, I'd be like, I've been working on this stuff for years. Like, this is like, it's been a continual, there's no way in 10 days.
You know what I would do? I would actually have fun with it because I know, right? So I just kind of like, tell me more, right? Just to see what stuff they come up with, right? Because it's just not.
It's not possible. It's not possible. But you, like you said, you can give them some tools. Like I'm doing a Master Your Mission every Saturday morning and Tuesday night, right? I'm going to help people with goals and motivation. Does that mean? And I'm doing it for free. And it's like, just doing it. It's a 2-hour masterclass. It doesn't mean that when they walk out,
right?
But they're going to have some clarity.
Right.
They're going to know, they're going to have some motivation. They're going to have some clarity, but that doesn't mean that we're done.
Yeah. They could have like a small piece that could feel big in the moment. Like I remember, always like all my small pieces that feel huge and monumental. And then once I get past it, I'm like, oh, there's so much more. Right?
It's like getting used to everything. You drive the first time you drive your car, It's like,
Hmm.
oh, look at me driving. And now you don't even think about it when you get in the car and you drive. You're not so
Yeah.
excited about driving. In fact, sometimes
No.
you look for other people to drive. So you don't have to
Yeah. So yeah. And so yeah, it's the whole challenge I think for all of us is like, how do we help someone move forward through all of this? And that's the
I think
small
the
education piece.
biggest pill. I've got, you know, you want a pill, everyone? I'll give you a pill.
Hmm.
Own your shit. Like, seriously, own it. Your life is exactly how you asked for it to be laid out. And the minute you stop blaming mom,
Hmm.
dad, this person, that person, as long as the minute you can stop blaming everybody else for your situation and stand in it and own it,
Hmm.
that I did this. I
Okay.
asked for all of this. I
I
may not have asked for all the things that happened when they happened, especially as a child, but I'm in a situation now that I can either stay in it. It's a choice. You can stay in it. I love the example that one of the other teachers gave, Star Wars,
okay.
right? So Luke Skywalker has this challenge, right? So he's got this challenge. I look at our students that are coming in like Luke Skywalkers now, right? So they've got this challenge, this thing that they've got to deal with, and they don't know how to deal with it or how to get to their self-mastery or whatever, right? So, but they finally realize that they have to do it. Okay. Then he meets Yoda, who I think is awesome, right? So Yoda, which is to meet the Academy, right? But the story is not about the Academy. The story is about Luke Skywalker, right? Because it's about his challenge. Now he learns some lessons, right? He learns a lot from Yoda. But then now comes his call to action. He has to fight Darth Vader.
Hmm.
And if he doesn't fight Darth Vader, so if we don't make ourselves better, if we don't make the changes that we need to make in our lives, so if he doesn't beat Darth Vader, what happens? Darth Vader takes over the universe,
Hmm.
right? So if you don't do the work you need to do, your darkness is just going to take over,
Yes.
right? But instead, he beats Darth Vader. And not only does he win and end up in a better place in his life and feel stronger and able to handle anything, he's also contributed to the universe.
Yes. I like that. That is solid.
Right? Isn't that an amazing story? I love that story. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, yes. Right. It actually, by hearing that story, made me completely change my marketing plan from iAwesome, because I was like, I keep talking about Yoda. It's not about Yoda.
No, it's about the Jedi, the Luke Skywalker.
It's about the Jedi. It's about Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, it's very true. And sometimes, I mean, sometimes people are like, "This is all great information, but what does it actually look like to get to that point where I have to like let go and forgive?" And that feeling you get when somebody tells you that you need to forgive, and you get this feeling in your body somewhere, sometimes your pit of your stomach.
Anxiety is like,
Yeah, your body's like,
I can't.
yeah, right. That is the feeling you have to forgive through.
Yes.
And you have to go through, and when you do that, you'll feel the breakthrough, but you'll go through, or you might go through, I'm not going to tell you specifically what you're going to go through, because everybody of us is different, but you might go through a feeling of totally hating everything that happened to you, and realizing that the only reason you're holding on to it because somebody needs to pay for this, and somebody needs to recognize how much wrong you've had done to you, and how much of this happened. And part of the reason you can't let go is because you want that recognition, but every time you get the recognition, you just go to
Because
the
you
next
define
person.
yourself by it. You've
You
learned to
decline.
define yourself
Mm-hmm.
by this way that you are, but it makes you so unhappy because there's no fulfillment in the way that you are.
No.
There's no joy in the way that you are.
Yeah, and when you let go of it, it might feel great or it might feel like absolute crap as it's happening, but you have to let go because just behind it is that feeling of openness.
And know that you cannot let go all at once.
Yes, correct.
If you have to forgive somebody for something, or yourself, that's even harder. If you have to forgive someone or yourself for something, it happens in pieces, in percentages, a little bit at a time. If you think that you're just going to make a decision and forgive someone all at once, you're not.
Nope, nope, nope.
You got to do a little bit at a time.
Right. I mean,
that little bit, be like, yes, okay, I got that much done. A little bit more, a little bit more, right? And you have to celebrate the little bits the percentages that you've done, and you have to know that there's still more, and it'll be okay. It'll, as long as you're focused and aware of it, before you know it, it's gone, and you're not carrying it around. And it doesn't matter how the person feels that you're forgiving. That's irrelevant. If they get something good out of it, great. It's for you. It is for you. Forgiveness is a selfish thing.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it. Do it. You know what? Actually, and there's sorry?
Nope, nothing. Go ahead.
There's something else that somebody brought up in a conversation, somebody that's looking to learn from me. And they brought up the fact that whenever they make their breakthroughs, whenever they change and focus on themselves, because we talked about being that selfish in a good way, other people are impacted by it and they don't want to hurt them, so they don't want to do it anymore. They're not going to do that. They're just going to hold it onto themselves. And, long story short, if you do that, first of all, you'll never improve and you'll never get to defeat your Darth Vader. You never get to add and contribute to the universe. You never will.
Right.
And those people around you, what you're doing is you're letting them hold you back. And when you make your breakthrough and you change who you're being, because that's going to impact them, absolutely. And if it does, it's their opportunity to get better for themselves. So by you holding yourself back and not help and preventing them from feeling a little bit of discomfort, all you're doing is nothing, ever. Ever. You're not doing anything ever. You're going to be where you're going to be, and you're going to think you're making breakthroughs, but all you're going to do is going to be in your head, making mental.
Darth Vader takes over the universe.
Exactly. When you're in your head, Darth Vader gets to physically do stuff all around you. Yeah. So get out of your head, make the changes, and be selfish about it for yourself, because you're actually helping those people around you that don't want to change. Because they're going to have no choice but to acknowledge your change. And either they're going to leave, which unfortunately it might happen, or they will actually change.
Which would be amazing to see. So you know what we haven't done? You and I could probably get into a conversation and talk for days. Like I don't know if we would ever come to an end of a conversation. You and I.
No.
So every time we're like, okay, just have a quick conversation. It's always like an hour and a half. So and even then we have so much to say, we're not even done.
No, we can even pick up one of those books and go, hey, here's a surface level understanding, here's a deeper understanding, and here's a really deep understanding. Which one are you at?
So I think what we need to do, which we haven't done yet, is can you introduce yourself, Mike?
I absolutely didn't even realize we haven't even done that. I was like, yeah, let's get it. I like it. All right, so my name is Mike Popovici. I am the owner and the founder of Phoenix Internal Arts Academy, and I'm also one of the instructors at iAwesome, very importantly. And right now I've got a course in iAwesome for Qigong for the busy professional. Because I used to be an engineer. I used to be the busy quality manager in a big facility, aerospace manufacturing, a team of 30 people reporting into me. And I had all the excuses about why there was no time to do anything at all except work. And that was it. And lived the life I knew. And so when I finally made the right level of breakthrough for myself, I left that corporate world so I can teach you and everybody that's watching, what's needed in order to make the breakthroughs for yourselves, right? And so now part of iAwesome and that course is meant for busy professionals. So it's the exercises, I won't even call them exercises, the routines, I guess, are 10 minutes or less. And so it gives you the understandings, it helps you learn how to balance yourself, how to stay relaxed, how to stay centered, and how to tap into your body's bioenergy, if you will, because if you're spiritual, you get it. If you're,
it's like a 10-week
course
of practices that you put in. It's like,
it's
so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
I've actually told myself I'm going to actually start it myself. So it's like, it's good because it's something I've always wanted to learn.
Yes.
And haven't done because I say, I don't have the time. And now I just started doing Nia dance. So I'm doing that every morning. One of my neighbors does it. So I run over there in the morning and do it. And then I come back home and I thought, if I've got time to do Nia dance, I got time to learn Qigong.
Right? Yeah. And, you know, we need a little dancing in our life, but you know, the Qigong will help you tap into stuff. You know, when I teach it to busy professionals, because everybody can get something out of this, whether you're a healer, a practitioner, or professional, a busy home person or family person, whatever you are, wherever you find yourself in life, or a student, students, oh wow, like how much stress do they go under, right? If you can find 10 minutes or less to recenter, especially as a student, because you're still at a stage where just the stuff moves so easily through you. Oh wow, this would be great for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
And
high stress and everything that's going on right now, and I think it'd be a nice way to.
It totally is. It totally is, because it moves all the other stuff that you don't get to move through just exercise or just reading or just thinking. It kind of like it's just like in the middle, like this intermediate that brings it all together. Qigong, right? And it's very powerful. Busy professionals, they're amazed at how much they start to balance themselves. It's like they just kind of follow along, and they get deeper and deeper into it, but they follow along and they just kind of feel refreshed, and like they're not in their head and they're not fighting their own thoughts as much, right? And you know, that kind of applies to everybody, because if you got a family to go back to, or friends, or relationships as well, and you want to be able to, you need something. You may not have all the time in the world. You may not have the time to make it to the gym or to go anywhere else. So you want that thing that's going to be able to help you reset in about 10 minutes or less. I mean, this is not going to solve, like we said before, this isn't going to solve the world for you.
But it's going to bring some balance.
It's going to bring balance, and it's going to help you connect with how to move, because we move with a lot of tension, and it's going to be like the beginnings of you understanding, wait, I can move without tension and still move without looking like I'm dreaming, right? Without looking like I'm this like weird sort of right, like half asleep, half awake person.
I had just doing this Nia for the last few days. I've been like, with my friends, and they're like, so like when they're doing it, they're like, they're making all kinds of noises and stuff while they're doing it, and they're just releasing out of their body, and I'm just quietly, doing my thing. And afterwards I said, I guess one day I'll make all those noises, right? Pretty much not doing that part. So but right. I think it's great that they can just be so loose, and just, I know that sound is healing, and what it's telling me is that, why am I not letting go? Like, why am I not able to open my mouth and just breathe even louder enough that people could hear me? Like, why can't even I do that? Right. So it's just like, there's these parts where you're like, ha, and you're doing, and I'm just like I'm doing it all quietly, and I'm doing it well, because I got some rhythm. So I'm doing it, but I'm like, why am I not making, like, I'm just not making a sound. Right? So it was just me sort of sitting down going, why am I not just doing it? They sound like they're having sex. Like, it's crazy what I hear from them. But it's like me, I'm like,
where's your judgment? Where's your judgment?
Right? So why am I just being quiet? So it was a good thing for me to look at myself. Some people might laugh at other people. I think it's great that they're able to just be so, out there, where I was just like, why am I not? Inside, owning it, right? Always owning it. So what does that mean about me? Oh, I got some work to do.
And it's a really good thing to point out too. Like, when we start to change our routine, and we start to do new things that we haven't tried before, things that are out of the normal for us, it actually gives us the stimulus to kick into our awareness what we weren't aware of before. Because if we do what we've always known, or we do what we're comfortable with, or what makes sense to us entirely right now, it doesn't have to make sense to you entirely. If you just make sense a little bit, take the leap, right? But if it has to be like, no, this is what I'm used to, this is what I want, then you're not actually providing stimulus to bring to the forefront what you're not letting yourself work through.
Right, and what you're capable of doing.
That's right. And that's a big thing that we need to understand, is like, seek that different. But even then, yeah, I mean, we can let's get
Okay, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it again. So we've already been on for 50 minutes. Okay, so so let's just wrap it up.
Was this?
Let's wrap it up. And oh my God, Mike, you and I could just probably do a show every day.
That would be fun. We should do like one a week or something, you know?
We should, because we will never run out of information, stuff to talk about.
No.
So, and we just feed off each other. It's crazy. Anyways, thank you so much for being a part of iAwesome. Thank you again for joining me for another interview. And I look forward to us talking again. And I'll have to make a list of all the wonderful things we're going to talk about. And thank you, everyone. Normally I ask for tips and strategies, but I think we gave you lots in this one, so you're good.
Yeah. Anyway. Love you guys. Thank you.
Talk to you later.
And I guess maybe if I can add one thing, because I didn't finish, because I wanted, you know, if you're watching this and you're like, wait a second, yeah, this was a great conversation, but who's Mike still? Like, I used to be the guy that didn't believe in spirituality. I used to make fun of it. And when I finally hit my wall where the tarp wasn't holding back enough of that water anymore, I had no choice but to listen to my father, who's a spiritual one in the family, and to try things that I was like, this is weird. I made fun of it, but I got to try it. And the moment I did is when my life turned around and changed.
Yes.
So, and then eventually,
things we close the door to learning.
Yeah. So never close the door to that. And you know, when I speak, and I know, I mean, you know, we're normal, balanced people, right? So you know, I'm not.
You don't throw flower petals all over the place?
No, I didn't. No, I used to make fun of that. Like, don't be talking to me about that stuff. This is ridiculous. Get out of here. Live life. That was who I was, right? I mean, like, unless you're, you know, I used to be the rugby player, workout engineer guy, right? So I had to smash into life and live life hard. And I went from making fun of this stuff to understanding it and now actually helping people heal through it, right? So if you're listening to this, really let yourself take it in, because if there's any resistance, let yourself take it in, because that's the perspective that we're talking to today.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. That's it. We're good.
All right. We're good.
See you guys
later. All right. Bye.